Honestly, darling, I love you.
Gonna wash my hands of you. Gonna wash my hands of you. Wash my hands of you. When you got me in your power, your kisses turn all sour. Oh, gonna wash my hands of you.
Inside my head there's a little place left for you. What do you know? What do you know? And all I want is to find out what you're going through. What do I know? Maybe the silence is dangerous. tonight. And all I want is to find out what you're going through. What do I know? Maybe the silence is dangerous. I wanted to hide, and I just wanna find you. Feel what's inside you. I wanna come over and see what you found. See if it hurts him. How's it turn me down? It's the rain of tonight.
Yeah, here comes Amos. Now Amos Moses was a Cajun. He lived by himself in the swamp. He hunted alligator for a living. He'd just knock him in the head with a stump. The Louisiana law gon' get you, Amos. It ain't legal hunting alligator down in the swamp, boy. Now everybody blamed his old man for making him mean as a snake. When Amos Moses was a boy, his daddy would use him for alligator bait. Tie a rope around his waist and throw him in the swamp. Alligator bait in the Louisiana bayou. About 45 minutes southeast of Thibodaux, Louisiana, lived a man called Doc Millsap and his pretty wife Hannah. Well, they raised up a son that could eat up his weight in groceries. Named him after a man of the cloth. Called him Amos Moses. Yeah. Now all the folks around South Louisiana said Amos was a hell of a man. He could trap the biggest, the meanest alligator and just use one hand. That's all he got left, called alligator bit it. Left arm gone clean up to the elbow. Well, the sheriff got wind that Amos was in the swamp trapping alligator skin. So he snuck in the swamp, gonna get the boy, but he never come out again. Well, I wonder where the Louisiana sheriff went to. Well, you can so get lost in the Louisiana bayou. About 45 minutes southeast of Thibodaux, Louisiana, lived a cat called Doc Millsap and his pretty wife Hannah. Well, they raised up a son that could eat up his weight in groceries. Named him after a man of the cloth. Called him Amos Moses. Sit down on him, Amos. Make it count, son. About 45 minutes southeast of Thibodaux, Louisiana, lived a man called Doc Millsap and his pretty wife.
All right, now, everybody, quiet, listen to me. We're going to start a show. Now, some of you people have been with me before. You know it's going to be a tough grind. You're going to dance until your feet fall off. You're not able to stand up any longer. But we're going to have a show.
Yes, sir. How we doing this evening? We got bacon ready to go here. I need to turn my oven on. Let's see here. Set that to 400. I got the fan on low. I got boiling water way ahead of time here. And I've got some Idaho russets that, well, I don't know if they're from Idaho, but russets, and they're looking relatively close. So I'm gonna give them maybe 2 more minutes here. We got honey cured bacon that I just defrosted earlier, so probably a little bit extra moisture just because I froze it. And I guess I'm not using all this bacon. I certainly don't need all of it. Oh, hello there, fan. Still trying to figure out the audio here a little bit. I actually read today about the new RTX audio program or plugin, so that's now got me wanting a different video card for my streaming PC. Apparently these new drivers or program, or it's a program but it's more than that, will cut out basically all other noise than like talking. There's plenty of noise suppression and audio tricks already, but this is sounding like next level. Yeah, those are cutting out way too. Let's try this. Excuse me while I change a couple of settings here. So, waiting on oven to heat. These guys should hopefully be done now. That worked pretty cleanly. And I want to cool these down quickly. I just cook them fully through so they're nice cooked through. Gonna throw them in the fridge to cool them down so I can handle them a little bit easier. Actually, let's split them in half first. Let's do this one. Refrigerator's quite packed these days. Hi there, Leah. Got a little bit of your stream earlier. I was busy doing other things like laundry. Such an exciting life I lead these days. Hot here today. It was almost 90 degrees outside. Or sorry, almost 80 degrees out. 90 would have been a little ridiculous. Yeah, it was sort of warm. I was realizing that midday, I was like, maybe I should turn the space heater off. Over here. So let's do. That's right. I'm gonna skip the red onion today. Gonna do green garlic. The rest of the asparagus from Sunday, and a bunch of green onion. And let's see, anything else? Using frozen peas. Good with that. This being store-bought garlic, this guy looks really high. Got the rest of this right around there. Just going to compost. I really prefer farmers market asparagus. You'll get thicker asparagus that doesn't taste like wood. Let's do 3 of these guys. I really like green garlic. I've talked about it the last 2 streams here, but green garlic, or some people call it spring garlic. It's not ramps. Ramps are a sort of like wild onion, or wild garlic along that line. These are just young garlic. You let these keep growing and they'll grow garlic bulbs at the bottoms. But what happens is farms will seed a whole row and they'll end up with more plants sprouting than they need. And so they sell these earlier in the year to thin out the herd. And you can use all of them other than, like I peeled a couple of layers off there, like I did a shallot, like a shallot or a green onion, or just throw the garlic in, or bacon in the oven. Minute timer. If you do have the availability of farmers markets, I do suggest you go. They are still open near me. It's been a rather nice experience because they're temporary setups, so they can set up with lots of spacing. They're restricting how many people enter the parks. And people are very respectful. I've got quite the garden going this year. It didn't end up being nearly as impressive as I had hoped. Do you have anything growing this year? Started most of mine actually quite a while ago. But birds ate all my, well, I say all, they ate my 3 watermelon plants. Apparently they look delicious from the sky. They left my tomatoes, but they ate one of my pepper plants. But I've got most of my strawberries still. I've got row carrots, I've got thyme, I've got chives, I've got sage. Mostly hopeful I'll get some decent tomatoes this year. Last year it was rather sad. Nice. Yeah, the herbs are... It doesn't make farmers any money to bring herbs to farmers markets, or really even to markets themselves. I mean, most of the time it's like 69 cents for a full-grown plant. Let's see here. Nice. That's another one that's rough in small numbers because they have such a short shelf life. You're growing them when they're small, so you only got a couple of days to really use them. And, or in the case of farmers, to sell them. And so makes it so you have to know your audience very well to be able to judge how much you'll need to produce every week. Let's see here, go through these and pick out some of the uglies. Hey, Obi. Still feeling slimy there. I don't normally stream with my headphones on. I normally rely more on past streams to figure out the audio that's going on. It is sort of odd how the board or the back mic picks up every now and then, and you hear the fans. Separate. And I want to pour myself some wine. So I wrote this as cheap Chardonnay, which it's a $4 bottle of wine. So it's smelling fruitier than I expected, and it's got a heck of a lot more depth than the Riesling of this brand I had. Sort of my local supermarkets cheap brand. There is actually a city named Forestville here in Sonoma Valley, but it's not spelled that way. Oops, keeping these separate. keep the whiter onions and the beginnings of the greens separate from the more solid green part to the green onions that I'll use for more garnish. Also doing that with the asparagus here. Tips I'm going to throw in towards the end, just the last minute that I think I'll still be able to cook through. These we're going to use more for flavor. This we're going to use heavily for flavor. This we're going to use for flavor, and this is going to be garnish. Got another 9 minutes still on the bacon. I haven't killed enough time by chopping stuff. Hey Casper, how we doing this evening? How's everyone else doing this evening? If you haven't caught the chat from earlier, actually it's scrolled up pretty good here by now. I thought you were leaving to cook dinner. I am attempting tonight my first time to make gnocchi myself. This is the green garlic here. It's a little bit paler. You can definitely tell by the scent. It smells straight up like garlic. But like I said, it's a little bit like a... compared to normal garlic, I would compare this sort of like a leek is to an onion. Some ways it's milder, some ways it's just as strong. These guys are already starting to get a little of their red color. Yeah, I stole that one from Bon Appetit. What's his name? Brad. Does YouTube videos for Bon Appetit, and it's one of the ones he did. Just a handy little trick. It's tasty for all sorts of things. This is much better than that. Can't even remember the variety of the wine, the sweeter Riesling that I had from them. That Riesling was like nothing but sweet. There was no flavor like to it at all. That it's got at least a little bit of barrel to it, and it's got some fruit on the nose, and not really distinguishable. 4 bucks. So, bottom barrel. Literally. It's 4.5 minutes. Oh, I can probably get my cream sauce started. I got plenty of time to get that done too. I'm gonna defrost some duck stock that I still have in the freezer. Obviously, you can use chicken stock or veg stock instead of this. And this is going to be sort of filler for the cream sauce. Sort of light on the amount of cream I have in the house right now. And, well, I don't have any cream in the house right now, but I'm going to be using half and half stock, and I'll thicken it up a little bit. Sorry, excuse me. No, I think that just decides it for me. I need to make my front mic more dominant. Let's try that. Are you guys getting much of the fan going at all? I'm not hardly hearing it, but I can't turn things up, crank them. Now I can hear it. I was saying at the beginning of the stream, I was reading about the new RTX audio program or driver set, or it sounds rather elaborate. I might have to upgrade my streaming video card for that. Ooh, we got 20 minutes on our bacon. Yeah. It's on the edge, but we'll pull that out. I like my bacon crispy. No, I used my old PC. It's this. Do I still have the stats below? I think I deleted those. Yeah, I deleted it. This is my probably 5+ year old gaming PC. So it's not anything new or amazing, but it is a full PC. Originally had a, give you an idea how old it is. The original build had a GeForce 550 Ti. I think it's got a 1063 gig in there now. Bacon's pretty to look at, but I can't make a sauce. So I made that. Howdy, Trigger. Well, I got the whites of the green onions and the green onion tops separate, and there's green garlic there as well, which looks somewhat similar. Fair number of green onions too. So these are green onion tops, these green onion bottoms, and this is green garlic. Throw this away, be right back. It's not a very common ingredient. It's a seasonal ingredient, and it's mostly available from farmers markets or small farms. Because what happens is repeating myself here, they'll seed a whole row of garlic trying to grow garlic, and they'll have a whole bunch more sprout up than they actually need. So then they go through and pick the weak ones and the dwarfs and along that line and thin it out and sell those as green garlic. I equate it as if you've had both a leek and an onion, it's sort of like that comparison between for garlic, sort of the equivalent of that for garlic. In some ways it is milder, other ways it's definitely not. It's not really greener. You don't really get that whole any more grassiness to it. But I can see people thinking that. Well, most people don't clean them properly to begin with, but also they are something. The texture of them is, I mean, it's a lot similar to a green onion, where you have a little bit of more fiber to it, so it doesn't break down in a pan like an onion will. So it's a different flavor. I love using them for stocks. Love using them in soups. They're good base for things. Oops, turn the oven off now. Let's see how our potatoes are doing. Okay, these are holdable now. Just easier to try and peel it. So these are now, after being in the fridge there for 25 minutes or so, nice and chilled. Sort of wishing they feel a little bit more cooked through, but I think we'll be okay. Have a good one, Casper. Thanks for joining me. The original idea was I'm going to put the potato in this bowl. Guess we're using it to catch skins and Alright, Sugar. Excuse me. Might be breaking out the blender here. Yep, I think I'm gonna do that. Might as well just dropped on the floor. It's got a properly pureed potato now. to this, I'm going to add egg yolk. Debating if I should do one or two. Let's start with one, see what we get. No, I'm going to do both. I was hopeful I was going to have AP flour by the time I started this recipe. I haven't gotten it yet. And about a half cup of flour here. So I'm still using pastry flour. So this won't have as much gluten as I really sort of want for this. So that's why I went with the extra egg, thinking that I'm gonna have to deal with the less binding. Mix this heavily with flour. Just want to get it into a working dough ball here. And this is going to need more flour. It was about a half cup more, considering how heaping of a scoop that was. Hey Candy Gamer, thanks for the follow. If you're new around, I do cooking streams 3 days a week. Mostly just film what I'm doing for dinner. Still think we're pretty wet here. this isn't an issue because I'm using the wrong type of flour here, which much could be at this point. Now I think we're pretty close. Don't want to knead the heck out of this. This isn't your typical pasta. Just want to do basically enough to get it into a rolling setup. Do a little reorganization here. Sorry about that. So I'm going to take the dough and cut it in half here. Just going to rope it out or roll it into a rope. Don't want to go too small, but don't want to go too huge either. Make sure my water's back up to a boil back here. Little pillows. I'm trying to adjust my lengths a little bit and compensating where things are thick and thin. And let's just use that. Put a little fingerprint in each one of them to give them that little pillow head indent. See how like cute little pillows. run out of flour on their counter. Add a little bit more. I am going a bit heavy on the flour coating here. Most times I've seen people that are, I don't know, professionals at gnocchi. They're working with the dough a little bit wetter, I think. That's sort of a experience thing with working with doughs. Not only do you learn how to react to a wet or dry dough, but once you learn a recipe, you can work with it wetter and come out with better results. Or drier. I wish I could express on video how light and like fluffy these are compared to your normal like pasta. Actually, these are a heck of a lot more like a dumpling than they are a pasta. They're a lot closer to, say, I've made a spetzel on stream before. These are a lot closer to spetzel. They're just like giant spetzel. And I'm actually going to almost treat them just like spetzel, because I'm going to boil them and then I'm going to saute them. Try and get a little color on them. Maybe putting my foot in my mouth right there, but hopefully I can get a little color on these guys. You ever have one of those moments where your body just sort of relaxes? The world is calm. I've just had one of those moments. Everything is good. My dough has turned out fine. My extremely cheap wine that I thought was going to be crap has turned out to be mildly drinkable. And so let's get going with this sauce here. This is just some good old Strauss half and half. If you don't have Strauss around you, it's just the first organic dairy in America. So since I'm low on butter and I'm completely out of AP flour, I am going to do a cornstarch slurry for this. Normally I would make a roux. I think it has much better flavor, regardless of the fact that this is quicker pretty much all the way around. And it's one of those things that certain chefs pull for one or the other. The end product, it doesn't make a huge difference. It's a convenience versus what some people think is a slightly better product. Want to use cold water. Coldest water you can get out of your sink when you're doing this. The temperature difference between your starch thickener and the liquid that you're thickening, which I should kick this up a little bit, is going to increase your thickening ability of the liquid. So you want your thickening as cold as possible, and you want your liquid as hot as possible, or as hot as you're willing to go with it. Kick that flame up on high. You see the not quite dissolved. If you ever hear or watch any of those YouTube videos of oobleck, this is what oobleck is. It's just water and cornstarch. Becomes a almost semi-solid material. It's actually quite interesting. Need slightly more liquid here. I like it just on the edge of solidifying. What I was taught in culinary school was you want it like the thickness of cream. There we go. I'm going to whisk it in. And it almost thickens immediately. That didn't thicken it as much as I expected it to. It did thicken it a little bit. Turn the heat off on that. Let's see how our water's looking in back. Yeah. Ready with that. Let's chop ourselves up a little bacon. do 5 strips. Yummy. So that's ready to go. Really just waiting on our water to come back up to a boil, which I had turned it up high. I'm gonna have to thicken that a bit more. Typically famous last words end up with a block of jelly. But that is just too liquidy. I'm gonna start heating my large cast iron just in anticipation of being able to saute these gnocchi. Because I want that hot and completely thoroughly heated so that when it heats, when it hits the pan, it doesn't lose as much heat. There we go. Actually going to get all 4 burners going tonight. Let's take this guy and put him on the back burner now. So take out, oops, medium cast iron. Add a bit of oil to the pan. I typically use sunflower oil for sauteing. And I'm gonna saute up our veg here and get that all nice and happy and ready. changing with my, or messing with my audio setting. Huh. Okay. Getting nice and toasty back here. I'm smelling this pan. Gonna have to close the bedroom door here. Shut off the smoke alarm here. And that pan's on low now. Wow, that sauce almost turned yellow. Start with green garlic, and I'll come back for the spare. All that green garlic in the pan. Stems that I'll cook a bit longer, allow them to get a bit softer. Next I'm going to add the whites to the green onions. A little fresh pepper. Salt. Staying away from the MSG tonight. We're not doing a heavy deep dish here. This is all lighter green fare. It's starting to get a bit warm. And turn the heat down. Add in frozen peas. What did I do with my Caesars? And organic green peas. Asparagus tops. And all the bacon. All the bacon. cook all these greens. Some of them we're on the edge of doing that right now, but the tops that I added later, I think we're doing all right there. Cut the heat. I'm gonna put that in a pan here off to the side. Or into a bowl. Heat that up just to dry it out. I wish I had a little bit of butter. I'm out of butter completely right now. But actually, I'm going to add a little bit of. Actually, I don't have any good oil, but if I had good oil is a good thing to throw on this. Or if you have some butter. So the rest of that bacon's for snacking. I need this water to actually boil now, so I'm going to move it. Now we'll have an actual flame underneath it. This little thing is sort of sad comparably. That's a full flame on it. You can probably add these in there too. I'm going to add a little bit behind to just pinch on top, but the rest we can throw in there. Every little bit helps to cool it down a little bit. While we want it to be warm when we eat it, we're not worried about these. This is going to be the nice and hot. The sauce is going to be nice and hot. This will just sort of carry over between the two. There we go. That's nice and hot now. I'm going to do these in 2 batches. See if you guys can see my boiling water here. Yeah, just barely. Let's tilt the camera a little bit. Yep. Got a pinch of salt here. Help it come back up to a full boil now that I took the lid back off. Sort of like ravioli, these should sink at the beginning, and as they cook, they will rise. Usually good to give them just a little nudge right at the beginning. You're risking ruining them, but it does help keep things from sticking. Sort of a be careful thing. And as they come up to the top, gonna make sure we got some oil in the pan over here. They have increased in size. They've puffed up a little bit. Maybe 1.5 times. And into the pan. Mixing in oil and water, so you should get some nice splattering going on. This is not a good time to have a bunch of kindling next to your saute pan. Allow this to come back up to a boil. It's sort of boil. It's basically there. You need more oil. I was hoping for a little more color. starting to get on the edge of where I'm worried about overcooking them. Come on, flip. It refuses to flip. I think I've got too much here. I think I'll be okay. So I'm going to go from the pan to the bowl. And then we'll guesstimate on our sauce. Bit more oil in the pan. If you've ever seared polenta cakes or something that's very soft while still having some form of a structure, that's what this is. These are very hard to move around the pan. They're going to just dissolve on you if you're too rough with them. Doing a bit better with here, second batch here. Maybe a bit too warm here. Side of the pan never gets any love. Lid off, heat off. Back over here. So now we just have our gnocchi and toppings. Probably got too much sauce, so I'm gonna stop right there. I think this needs a nice white plate. Which means I have to go plate digging. Switch these off for the night. Okay. Trying to get some of the pillow sides up. There we go. A little bit of cheapo Parmesan. Yes, the green can. Flavored cellulose. And a few green onions on top. That looks yummy. That looks good. What do you guys think? Anyone still kicking around out there? I think that looks like a lovely dinner. Play a little wipe off. Oh yeah. Asparagus, bacon. Ooh. Oof, oof, oof. Where's the kniff? Hey, Panda Swamp. Thanks for stopping by. Thanks for the sparks. So, I'm going to go and enjoy this loveliness, which I have to try one of these right now. Soft, doughy. I was worried they were going to be too, like, bready. But they're nice and soft and doughy. Very happy how these turned out first try, first attempt. always ways to improve, but happy how we finished out here. I'd like to thank everyone for coming by today. Candy Gamer, thank you for the follow earlier. Let's see if there's anyone else out there in the world to follow or to give a host to. Otherwise, I'm going to leave you guys with my slideshow while I go and enjoy this. I will be back on Friday. I do not have actually active plan. Well, we have the cook along coming up here on this weekend, so absolutely do have plans coming up here. So going to be doing spatchcock chicken this weekend. Going to be doing roasted sweet potato this weekend. I don't know if you can see that on stream or not, but it's hidden on the front of the counter there. I forget what else. We're going to be doing Nutella mud cakes this weekend. Yeah, I forget if it's Friday or Sunday. And then the day after, I'm going to be taking the spatchcock chicken and making soup out of that. So, hope you guys come and join me for that. Pictures is always up on Instagram. I've been getting a little bit more active here with Twitter lately, but I'm still not the most active person. And I hope you all have a lovely evening. Thank you so much.